mention Ignas, the Mercedes Masterclass, winning for the home Grand Prix for Mercedes. Ignas comes across the line. Graxent brings it across P2 for a very, very good result there for his championship contention. Out in the final corner, Graxent's able to hold on to it, and Graxent will bring it across for a win here this season. And as Ignas rounds the final corner, 3.2 seconds is the gap. That's all he needs on Żelazny. He crosses the line, takes the win here in round 8 of
Let's check how it will end. Of course, the first one on the finish line is Ignas.
You know, there's something special about Bahrain. It starts a season, it ends a season, and for the 2nd of July, it marks the end of an era. This is the final race of FRL. It has been 104 races of FRL, and we have 11 drivers on the track for this final race, but 2 of them are what we're looking at. We've got Graxent. This is his 88th race with FRL. We've got Ignas. This will be his 53rd. By the statistics, Mercedes has 47 podiums, Ferrari 45. Mercedes with 16 wins, Ferrari with 14 up to the season. And at this point, it is all to play for. And if we look at the screen, it is all to play for this person in the scarlet red Scuderia Ferrari. It is make or break for Graxent tonight. 20 points, as we saw in the welcome video, separates what could be Graxent's 2nd FRL championship against Ignas in the Mercedes, who has it all to play for, has the lead, needs the consistency, mathematically has the greater chance of winning. But Graxent won't go down without swinging. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the finale of FRL. This is, again, the final time we will stream or be presented under the FRL name. After the final results of this season come out, we will be transitioning to pole position racing. We'll talk about that a bit more as we go. But of course, it is not just me here in the commentary booth for this final time. I have Syntex and Kenny with me. Syntex, we'll start with you first. I know you're not feeling the best and you need to kind of relax for a bit. Watch the stream and you'll come back for interviews. How are you on this Sunday evening for the final time of FRL?
Hello, good morning, Six Syntax here, and yeah, I would like to feel better, but I had to be here with you guys because this is actually a huge event. This is the last race of Foxxxes Racing League. Many seasons we were sitting behind the wheel from my perspective and behind the microphone, and I've seen multiple situations that gave me goosebumps, as today's intro made by Tazo. That was a really huge thing, but today's finale is all about Graxent and Ignas, and I cannot wait for that battle in today's race.
Absolutely. A big shout out goes to Tazo for the effort that was put in for making that intro video. Kenny, good evening. Good afternoon for us, of course, being in the U.S. Welcome to the final round. How are you doing today?
Yo, yo, yo. I am doing great. Glad to be here. Happy to be here. Some would probably say probably not sad to be here, as we are starting actually multiple chapters, as you know, having the name change and also ushering in the new F1 title. So, and of course, Bahrain. Bahrain's a good starter, good ender. So, I like it. It's a good favorite of mine. I'm hoping that we see a good fight between our top 2 championship contenders here, as only 20 points. Like you said, 20 points separate. As off camera here, looks like Buchek's going to go for a spin. But yeah, I don't know. Like I think there's something in the air. I don't know if it's what quite it is yet, but I definitely think we're going to ride a high out of this race.
Absolutely. Graxent stepping out with a statement. We'll see if Ignis can respond. 128.725 as he puts in the first lap there in our final qualifying session here. Talk about a few stats here. Of course, this is the 104th race under the FRL umbrella, I believe. We are looking Mercedes, Ferrari are statistically neck and neck all the way through, so both drivers are in very good setups. Graxent does, of course, hold the FRL GOAT title for the most points earned. He surpasses Noda. Of course, Noda not running. Ignis responds 128.306. So these two are feisty right out of the gate. But of course, Graxent, after last week, earning the title of FRL GOAT with 865 points earned across the lifetime of FRL. He's got 9 fastest laps, 10 pole positions, 29 podiums, 12 wins, and 22 DNFs across his lifetime here of 87 races. When we look at Ignis's stats, Ignis 53 races in with FRL, 4 wins, 13 podiums, 3 poles, 3 fastest laps. Of course, that does not include some of the stats from this season, but very, very important to note that statistically and by every set of the book, it is very neck and neck for these two. So there is a very, very good chance that this will be a very, very close race. And I don't think I'll be able to call it until the very, very end as we go through qualifying. All drivers have put in a lap at least now. And Kenny, I have to ask, we had a poll in the Discord this week, and it was Ignis Graxent who was going to win for the chance of winning F123. Who'd you vote for?
For 23?
For winning F1 2023.
For 23. So, hold on. Let me hold serve here for just a second here, because I want to see the results of this poll. So I want to talk about something really fast. Shoot.
While Kenny is looking this up, we are going to just look through by the math that Debe sent us. Statistically, there is a 3.2% chance, 311 scenarios, and only 10 of them that Graxent can become champion in. And part of that is, again, because of post-race penalties that were handed out from last week's race. There were, of course, some decisions that had to be made by the FIA regarding that last lap incident between Jack and Tazo, which did end up granting Tazo a post-race penalty. And that kind of set things in motion. Żelazny is here this weekend. He is qualifying on hard tires, and he's 100% doing that on purpose before anyone asks.
I don't know. It's hard to pick for who to kind of answer my question. That question you asked me earlier. It's kind of hard to pick, just because if we're talking about the game, F123, it's such a different game, and just my limited time playing on it, I think it's going to be a very hard game in comparison to play, because I think it's going to be a more drivable game. And I just think you're going to see a lot more people, I think, come back to the competitive scene in every single league out there.
I cannot wait. I hope F123 does breathe in that new life. It'd be very, very nice. I know Buchik has announced before the race today that this is going to be his final race with FRL, or as will be known, PPR. There is a spin for Buchik coming into Sector 3. Very unfortunate time to pick up on him there, going through, I believe that's turns 9 and 10. However, he has said that he is going to have his last race today, and that he will hopefully be back in the future. Cannot wait to see that. Kenny, kind of looking through pole position racing, new branding, new everything. I personally am very excited about it. I don't know that I've ever asked you your thoughts on it through. Of course, I know you seem to be very excited about it. What's your opinion on the rebranding?
It's a very professional brand. Looks like Debe's going to go for a spin, almost putting it off track as I start to talk here. Currently, he's in P4 with a 129.005. But With the rebranding, Brad, I think it's going to be it's definitely more it's got more, I guess, more official vibes to it. I mean, anytime you can kind of, I guess, set yourself up on like a higher tier, a higher step, or always strive for greater things. That's always a good thing, and I think that's um, a great step forward in terms of the media marketing. So, going to be exciting to call it for the first time, and see a lot of the graphics pop up for the first time. So, um, also it's something that we with the experience, you can kind of say it's a fresh start without it being a fresh start.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the nice thing with it as we see Graxent close down that gap a bit there. It's a 128.4 now against a 128.3, so he's within it just a little bit above a tenth of a second there to Ignis. So that
Close.
is going to continue to come down. But Ignis purple again in the first sector. We're going to continue to see things move forward there for him. But yeah, the rebranding I think is going to be a nice, refreshing change. I'm really, really excited. I know Tazo and Gris have been hard at work on the backside, working on graphics
Can I
and
add
everything.
one thing to that? Just to finish, I would say that it's because I think 22 left a very sour taste in pretty much anybody who plays online. So I think everyone has been looking forward to 23. It's because it's kind of being like we're getting our first chance out of kind of being in some ways robbed out of a good game, because with the errors that 22 had and the cheating, that's the big thing they have to get a grip on now. That's the only thing, is just get a grip on the cheating stuff, and they might have a pretty good setup to roll with.
Yeah, I would agree with that completely. Ignis 128.099 comes across even faster now. Ignis and Graxent just trading blows back and forth, going as fast as they can through. And to touch on your point there, Kenny, thankfully we did not have any issues here in FRL with the cheating scandal. When things hit, we were able to jump ahead of it and keep things going. But I do agree, it left a sour taste with league racing. It left a sour taste with a lot of people for this game in particular. Thankfully, that's all been ironed out, and we are moving forward with it. F123, if I remember right, does have anti-cheat in the works for leagues, but I don't want to say that and be wrong.
Some degree or some type of something in the works. It's, short version, it's a good step.
Absolutely, and any step forward is a good step forward, and really who we need to see make a step forward is going to be Buchik. We need to see a time out of him. He's the only driver that has not put in a time, and we are... This Sector 3 yellow flag would go away from drivers trying to get space. I could tell you how much more in qualifying is left. I think it's just at the halfway point, if I'm remembering correctly.
Just getting there, yeah. And I will say to anybody watching this stream now and in the future, don't let the grid, just because you don't see a full grid fool you. There are a ton of good drivers here in FRL, soon to be PPR. Ton of good drivers, but plenty of good spots available to get your hands on some good competition and good action here. So, as you will see throughout the quali session, as we wrap it up and into the race, the gaps do get pretty tight. So if you're wanting a good racing experience, at least give it a shot. Come down and give it a few races, see if it's something for you. I guarantee it, you will be impressed.
Yeah, absolutely. Check out the Discord if you're watching Twitch live, !Discord in the chat. If you're not a member of FRL, soon to be PPR, and jump in and join. If you are watching this on YouTube, links as always in the description below to join. Those will all be up to date and current. We have Twitter, we have TikTok. There's tons of ways to get connected with FRL, PPR. Man, I'm going to have to get used to changing up those acronyms. Pole position racing. Man, that's
a lot.
That's going to be a break. I can't announce yet when the next races are. I do, of course, know that is some of the fun things that I've learned. I know in the background approximately when things are going to start. I'm not announcing that yet unless one of the admin who's not driving want to give me permission to say that, or they want to drop it in the stream chat. But I do know things are in the works. One of the things we have announced is, of course, there is... On the 16th of July, there's an F2 event, which is a lot like the barrages that have happened. And with those will be set up It'll be one-shot qualies and a short quali in a 3-race format. If you participate, you have to check in on Discord by the 10th of July. The winner will get to choose a track on the next season calendar. So, one thing we aren't doing, we are not restarting as like Pole Position Racing Season 1. We will just continue into a Season 9, just under the brand Pole Position Racing. So that will be pretty nice. All the stats will just carry over. We're not doing like a full hard reset. It's just a light rebranding. But I mentioned that 16th of July event because that is going to be a very, very fun one to watch. You'll get to see some sneak peeks of some things. We may have some announcements on that stream. Again, unless admin want to like let me announce it now, which would be fun. But I'm sure they won't. And that is going to be, it's going to be a longer break, but it's going to be really good because it'll give a lot of time for things to get set up and things to get going for next season.
Yeah, a break is needed, and also you have to understand, and as a driver, as a driver and as a commentator and everything, I always want to race as much as I can. But unfortunately, with the EA titles, you got to give them about a month to 45 days to kind of get a couple patches out, to kind of really get that initial launch cleaned up. But I will say, this launch, having played it, it is, like I said last week, it is night and day. And that's an opinion shared by many.
Yeah, that is myself included. I've put in some time on F123 again, just working on behind the scenes things and different stuff. I've put in a few hours on F123, breaking in my new Moza wheel. Again, exclamation Moza in the chat. If you want a link to get to support the league, you can do so through Moza. We do have that affiliate link that's out there. But yeah,
how do you like that league or that wheel? How do you like it?
Night and day different. Night and day difference. It is. I have the R5 bundle and I bought the GT wheel because, again, myself, I do a lot of F1 racing. But my main sort of off time thing is ACC and GT endurance racing. And it is a night and day difference from my Logitech. I had a Logitech G29 and it is the feel of a direct drive wheel is something different, and especially for the entry point that it's at. The price range that it's at, I very, very much recommend it. And they did, of course, just announce the R12. And then they have a new wheel rim that is modeled very similar to a Williams racing wheel. So if you haven't seen that, that is definitely one to check out, and I would recommend it.
I've seen one floating out there. I just can't remember the manufacturer. I will say there are tons of manufacturers out there at the enthusiast level, but it seems like what Moza is doing kind of aggressively is kind of putting themselves at that kind of like that Fanatec level, but at a smidge lower either price point or giving a little bit of a hint at kind of creating their own ecosystem. As we are just over 60 seconds here as your top 5, Ignas, Graxent, Tazo, Radoslav Kaipa, and Maros. 2 Aston Martin buddies getting into the mix.
Graxent's out on an outlap for the final time. I believe Tazo is on a final push lap here. Graxent dealing with a little bit of traffic. It looks like that is going to be, I believe, Radoslav Kaipa who is moving out of the way there for him. Ignas coming down the main straight here, starting a final push lap. Graxent about 30 seconds behind. Very, very well seated there if Graxent doesn't have to deal with this Aston Martin and causing him any issues here. Ignas going through. We're going to ride on board with Ignas through for his final lap here on quali to go through. Ignas, DRS open, hard braking down, good right-hander. Let's jump on board here. I wish they had done this with Max Verstappen in Austria for his final lap. Maverick out of the session, retiring in the pit lane, it appears. So Maverick will be starting P8 at best unless someone else improves above that. Frantic, Kushor, and Żelazny behind. There is an improvement there from Tazo. Tazo up onto the second row of the grid. Locks in. Checkered flag has fallen. Myros is locked in. Kushor is locked in. We'll see who can improve. Ignas coming down the back straight now. Second DRS zone, or third DRS zone. A wide open here all the way through. Dives it in hard left-hander for turn 9. You have to watch the rear end traction as you come through here. And looking very, very good. Switch back here onto the right-hander, and we'll continue to take it up the hill here. Now it's through purple middle sector for Ignas. Up by a tenth and a half. Plenty of time to find. And Ignas botches it out of the corner. He spins. and he spins through. This is going to open things up for Graxent significantly, but Graxent has to find 4/10 through his lap. Can Graxent find that time? Graxent down the final DRS zone now, and can he find the time, Kenny?
I don't think so. He's got to nearly nail his last couple corners and the last corner and a half going on in that pit straight, but I don't know. Ignas was going to get one final lap in, was he not?
Ignas was, and Ignas was purple through the first 2 sectors. He had more time in the tank. Graxent did not improve through the middle sector. Graxent through the final 2 corners here. Can he nail the apexes? Very, very good exit. Loose on traction in the final corner. Graxent coming through. He is not going to improve, it appears. 128.366, slight improvement, but losing traction there in the final corner might have cost him a little bit more time, but not enough to improve. So, we will have...
lap too, so Debe's done.
We will have Ignas and Graxent, P1 and P2. The 2 championship contenders will be starting front row of the grid. I am so scared for turn 1.
Yeah, I know, right? No whammies. I will say though, I think Graxent made a. I don't know if I caught it, but the exit in that middle straightaway, that middle DRS zone coming out of that downhill hairpin, I think he locked up a little bit. Coming into that turn and then also kind of didn't have the greatest exit, so I think that's what jeopardized that final lap for him.
Something happened there that threw him off, and this is gonna be something. This brings me back to season 3, Syntax turn 1. Everybody buckle your seatbelts. Take a break. We will be right back momentarily. It is going to be 5 red lights for the final time as FRL. And we are underway, and here we go. Ignas gets away very, very well. Graxent gets away just a little bit well as well. Maybe a little bit poor there. Buchik, Debe jockeying for position. Tazo there in P3 just hanging out. Buchik now ahead of Tazo into P3. Up the inside, 3 wide going into turn 1. And there is a little bit of contact there, I believe. Now up the inside goes Tazo. Tazo trying to bring a little bit of a battle here to Graxent. Ignas trying to take off. Buchik is going to go around on the inside here against Graxent. Graxent trying to defend from the outside here. Long way around. Graxent alternate strategy with the hard tires. We'll touch on strategy here in just a moment. Tazo on the hard tires as well. Buchik maybe the odd one out on the mediums. We're going to line up single file now as we come through the middle section here of the track. This is where things can get interesting. Radoslav Kepa and Myros trying to jockey for position. Radoslav Kepa trying to get a little bit of a battle here on Debe. Keep that pit stop strategy in your head, medium to hards. Now as we go through, Graxent already down 1.3 seconds on Ignas early on, and now we're going to go through. Everybody comes through turn 9 very, very well. DRS is not enabled for the first 2 laps as we go through, and as we come down, Frantic here, very, very close, side by side with Kushor. This is for P7, and as they come around the outside there through the left-hander, Frantic holds onto the position. Now Kushor under pressure by Żelazny. Żelazny purposely qualifying on hard tires, and now he spins there with Kushor. They both drop to the back here. Debe up into P9 now. Żelazny, Kushor, P10, P11. I think there might have been some contact there, but doesn't make a difference now. They are in the back of the field. And as we look at the front, Kenny, after the first lap, Ignas holds onto the lead from the start. Buchik, Tazo battling really hard for P3. Graxent holding on to P2 at the moment. And fairly clean turn 1 from what I could see, Kenny.
Yeah, fairly clean indeed. And I think Graxent, I almost got caught out a little bit after turn 3 and 4. Oh, as Tazo's going to go for a spin. Tazo is down the field. I think Graxent was fortunate to not get chopped up by a couple guys behind him because he had a little bit of a struggle of a start. But he is definitely playing the long game on that hard compound.
Absolutely. Usually the strategy is medium to hards, which it looks like most people are going through. Bahrain, a very, very tire-hungry track. Graxent is going to be in a bit of trouble early on there with those hard tires. He is going to be at a pace disadvantage, and you can already see that starting to creep in. 2.5 seconds already the gap, and Ignas just continuing to eke out time little by little here. The race leader, the championship leader, 20 points ahead, needs to maintain, needs to win, and go through. Technically, he needs to finish lower than P8, I believe, in order for Graxent to secure a championship, but Graxent would have to win. It's very, very nip and tuck. Again, just a 3 or 4% chance for Graxent to do it, but 29 laps here at Bahrain, and everything can happen, as our friend Syntax likes to say. as we go through here, things are continuing to kind of heat up in the midfield. Frantic on Myros on Radislav Kepa. The teammates there battling through. Tazo has a bit of pressure on Debe as Ignis on our first full lap here, not from a standing start, continues to eke out time, 1:32. DRS now enabled, but Graxent 3 seconds back. What can he do to go ahead and close that time? Or do you think he is playing that very, very long game, Kenny? Because that is a big gap to have in just 3 laps.
Well, I mean, it's basically at this is which island is the better island to be on right now. As you know, of course, Ignis has got the pace, coupled with being on the softer compound. But you see an even split throughout the field, kind of. So, you know, a good management on this particular track, I think, will get you a little bit. Get you not a long way, but will potentially get you advantage, especially if you're going to finish on the medium. So we'll see. It just depends on how that shapes up. But definitely Maros and Frantic getting close in, as Frantic's still down in P6, but definitely putting a nose down in more often and trying to get around Maros.
Coming down the back straight here, DRS open. You can see he's closing that gap to about 0.3 of a second. He's got good traction, but he's just not able to get close enough to try to put a nose in and get a move going. And it's just kind of settling in here and going through the motions, trying to look for either Myros to make a mistake or for Frantic to just get a bit of an overrun here and have the help of DRS. We have the long main straight coming up, which is going to help him a lot. Gap 0.3 here through the final corners. Ignis again with another fastest lap. And Graxent, just pace-wise, is not there, which is impressive for it being Graxent. I think Graxent is really settling into that P2 here. As watch this battle here, Frantic and Myros going through, and Frantic on the outside, Myros on the inside. Frantic holding that outside, turns to the inside for the next corner, and as they go through, Myros is able to just edge ahead here. Frantic now DRS open again through the second DRS zone, and Myros is going to defend that inside line again. And as they go through around the outside here, Frantic trying to go and just not able to make it stick. He is going to try to hold on to it a bit longer. They're side by side through this S's complex here. Myros not able to hold on through there, and he backs out of it now. So Frantic, after the long battle through about the entire first sector and then some, is able to get up into P5. He's got 2.5 seconds to go to try to catch up to Radislav Kepa, and he is just going to kind of settle in. That Williams driver seems to have some good pace so far.
Absolutely. Great driving from both drivers too, both Frantic and Maros, as now the Williams has split the two Aston Martins. But good effort on the defense, but not quite enough. Was it a yellow sector 2? Is that Maros going down? Yeah, it is going down. Maros looks like he is spun.
Commentator's curse. It's a horrible thing.
I know. Ugh.
I hate it. I don't know why I do it, but I do it, and I hate it. Let's jump back to the on-track action here. Kushor going through, looking very, very strong in last place here, but kind of settling in. Of course, he had that spin there in lap 1, and he's kind of settled down back at the back of the pack, running his own race, hoping for a safety car, but of course 11 cars in. Safety car is going to be a little bit of a tall order to ask for. However, it is not impossible here. Riding on board here with Buchik, and Buchik looks pretty good here, Kenny. He's currently 0.6 of a second back on Graxent. Do you think he's going to be able to get past Graxent here anytime soon, though? They're both, Graxent has hard tires on, Buchik has the medium tires on.
Personally, I'm gonna hold on to a toe if I'm Buchik, just because that might extend the life of your tires by a lap or two in terms of kind of the optimal range. But Graxent looks like Graxent's about a half a second slower than Ignis so far, 5 laps in.
That medium to hard tire delta is proving to be problematic. 4.4 seconds the gap between Ignis and Graxent already, which is crazy for just 5 laps in. Looking back here at the midfield, as we'll call it here, P6 back. Look at this, Maverick, Debe, Tazo, Żelazny in a big DRS train here. Myros not far behind. Ignis pumping in another fastest lap to 1:31.974, continuing to just kind of hold on to things where he's at. This is going to be a really, really competitive field all the way through. We've got really strong drivers. that are showing up for this final race.
Absolutely. Looks like Debe is going to get around Maverick and make it stick. Definitely a strong drive from the McLaren driver these last few races. It seems like, Debe being one of these drivers, but there's a couple other throughout the field. They get off to some fantastic starts throughout the race, but they just can't quite find themselves in a good position, in terms of point scoring. But Tazzo's getting close though. Tazzo's getting around Maverick, or trying to get around Maverick here, so it looks like he is going to get up there as well. These some gorgeous skyline views with the helicopter.
Helicopter cam is gorgeous. It shows Żelazny taking advantage there of a small error by Maverick. Tazzo holding on to P7 there, 1.5 seconds back from Debe in P6. As we watch as they come down the back straight here, or one of two back straights as you want to call it in Bahrain. Żelazny up the inside here on Tazzo, and Żelazny will make it stick. They're still side by side as they run through, and which one of them is going to be able to come out ahead here? And it looks like Tazzo will still hold on to the position there. Żelazny behind. Now he's got this long back straight here, no DRS, but slipstream does come to play, and then they'll have the main straight. Żelazny was doing some practice racing, streaming it there, and I watched it before. Żelazny really good pace here at Bahrain. Like I said, he qualified last on purpose just for fun. So it'll be interesting to see where Żelazny lands. Of course, Żelazny, a multi-FRL champion, a lot of pace out of that driver running as a reserve this season, and Alfa Romeo looking very good going up into P7 there, getting the pass done on Tazzo down the main straight. Franek, I believe, swapped positions with Radoslav Kepa during that battle as well, so Franek now up into P4 to chase down Vucic. 5.5 seconds the gap there, and checking back in on that front battle, Kenny, we're lap 7 of 29. We are about a quarter of the way through. Graxent, 4.7 seconds back on Ignas. That gap is kind of stabilized, though, at about 4.7, 4.8 seconds.
Yeah, well, you're going to start, those mediums have definitely hit their peak, so they're definitely falling away. Or beginning to fall away. But, yeah, I mean, definitely kind of Graxent maybe getting into a little bit of a groove. He's definitely has to, in a sense, pull a Michael Schumacher and put a qualifying lap in each and every lap, especially on this hard stint. But this could be the move. It very well could be the move for him, especially if Ignis is a mistake that cost him half a second or a second away from putting Graxent right up in this thing for first. But the thing is, Graxent needs a little bit more help than that. As far as this particular race goes, good for the on track, but as far as the title's concerned, everything, this is all Ignis's to lose.
Absolutely. Watching through Żelazny now pumping in a fastest lap, 1:31.667, pulling in some time. Debe slowly reeling in Radoslav Kepa slowly reeling in Franek here, and Debe very strong looking here as we go through. Żelazny now within DRS range of Debe, so we've now got a 6-car DRS train that is forming there in the midfield pack. 4.9 seconds of the gap now from Graxent. But as you said, Kenny, something big has to happen with Ignis. He needs to have an air on his own. And as we check in with our race leader who's coming through the left-hander here of turn 9, it's just smooth sailing so far from the Mercedes driver, just consistent laps through. And for Graxent, he needs to hope for a miracle. But I will point out that Ignis is the only driver between Ignis and Graxent. Ignis spun in qualifying, and he spun right here at the top of the hill, and Graxent did not. So tires start wearing out, things start getting a little bit sketchy, and one wrong move and you can spin, and that spin can set you from first back pretty far. Not saying that could happen, or not saying that will happen, I'm just saying it could happen, and it's not something we haven't seen before.
Well, yeah, that's one benefit to extended period of green flag racing. It's when you start to get those tires to heat up a little bit, or especially on those off camber parts of the track, really the end of sector 2 going into sector 3, really. I think it's turn 13. If it was turn 13, I could be wrong on that, but always gets people caught out. But throttle management is critical around here, especially if you drive without any assists. So, yeah, it's one of those things that, especially I'm kind of curious to see how, because like we've been saying, I mean, the gap with Graxent and Ignis, as Maros picks up a 3-second time penalty. The gap is kind of consistent. I mean, the Ferrari drivers kept it, manageable, but kind of curious to see how Ignis and especially Frantic and Bucic, how they manage their degradation on their mediums.
Yeah, medium to hard was the main strategy. Of course, we see the inverse hard to medium going through, which I don't disagree with. And we see a battle here between Żelazny and Dave. Look at this. Żelazny going down the left-hand side, going through, and he's got the pass almost done before the corner. A little bit of late braking, a little bit of a cheeky turn there. And Żelazny able to get the pass done for P6 here. So Żelazny, plenty of pace there on those hard tires. But yeah, it's really going to be just... Tire strategy always comes into it, and I'm going to be honest, I kind of prefer Graxent strategy, hard to mediums, just because I would want to be on the faster tire at the end of the Grand Prix, and the hards are going to get you a bit farther in than I think the mediums will.
Yeah, I mean, it just, again, at the end of the day, it just depends on how the race unfolds, and really, I think the overall pace of the field also determines that as well. Because I've seen, grid scenarios where you've got an absolutely rapid field, and no matter what you put them on, they just shred them up. But they can also extend a lot longer than other drivers. So and that's what you see kind of with the top 6 right now on the board. That type of pace level in terms of lap over lap, I would definitely probably say that's your biggest difference with your top 2 guys. Is just that, so because they can go that limit and beyond. Because the goal is to find the limit and extend the limit. Find the limit and extend the limit. That's the ultimate goal as a racing driver. But in an F1 car, you can only go so far before you really start to struggle. So 10 laps in, what do you think?
A lot of action here for just 10 laps through. I think we all sort of knew how this would go. Things have settled in. Things are going through. Żelazny, I think, is one to watch there. 0.2 of a second off of Radoslav Kepa, but I have been really keeping my eye on this battle for P9 here. Maverick and Myros are battling, and they are battling like it's for the lead. Maverick doing everything that they can to try to break slipstream and keep things going. Myros doing everything they can to try to get a pass done, and it's shaping up to be a good battle as they go down the main straight. Żelazny here, as they go down the main straight, is going to have DRS kind of jumping back towards the front of the field here, and Żelazny up the inside here on Radoslav Kepa and does make that stick through. Now let's jump back here. Look at Maverick and Myros absolutely dueling it out. Little bit of wheel-to-wheel contact there as they go through. They are touching. They are hitting each other there. A little bit of room left. Myros is able to battle his way up back into that P9, and now it's going to be up to Maverick to get another pass done. Maverick dropping back there after some contact and losing out on that position. So that was an aggressive battle for several laps that was coming through. And then we jump back forward, and Żelazny, 0.3 of a second back off of Frantic, sets the eyes forward, continuing the battle forward. Yellow flag sector 2, and that is Maverick who has spun.
For a split second, until you said sector 2, my heart sank. I thought it was going to be Ignis for a second.
Oh, if it happens, I will probably retire today. If that happens, I will retire today.
I mean, really, inside curb was really going to be the only thing that ruins his race or ruins his title chances. But I mean, you're asking a lot from the racing gods.
Well, and here's the thing to think about too when we watch it. When you think about Ignis, I mean, and you look at the run that Ignis has had this season. Just looking at the stat sheet here, Ignis has ran 9 of 10 races and has 6 podiums and hasn't finished lower than P10. So there's a lot to go there.
And that's something to be proud of.
I mean, it's a dominant season. Graxent has ran 8 of 10 races that we've ran through, and the lowest finish Graxent has is 2 P5s. So these two drivers, I mean, have had an absolutely stellar season. Even Tazo in P3 has ran 9 of 10 races and hasn't finished lower than 9th place.
Well, Żelazny up in P4, yellow sector 1 yellow.
That
looks
is...
like
Looks
Is
like
that Maros?
Yeah, it was Myros, the Aston Martin, spinning out there and spinning again through the S's. Oh, I'm so glad ghosting is on because that would have been horrible.
I know.
Able to settle through it and keep going. And now as we run through, Myros will settle back in last place here. Graxent again checking in, P2 6.2 seconds back. Gap continuing to build here, P12 of 29. Or lap 12 of 29. Buchik 3.1 seconds back. Żelazny 6.5 seconds back on Buchik. Lots of time to make up there. Frantic 1.2 seconds back. Radislav Kepa 7/10. Tazo Debe. So Frantic, Radislav Kepa, Tazo Debe, the big battle to watch right now. And everybody else is fairly spread out. And that is one of the things with Bahrain is it's such a power circuit. Even though we do run on, equal car setup, it is a power circuit. And it's one of those... It's a big differentiator for drivers. If you have pace, you do good. If you don't have pace, then you're going to struggle and have a bad time here.
Exits are everything here. And also here, plot twist, or at least for the race, plot twist. Żelazny stays out when Ignas comes in, creates a little bit of a traffic issue, bringing Graxent into the fold in terms of potentially, gaining some advantage. 5 seconds to Maros speeding into the pit lane.
And Myros retiring out of the session in the pit lane. So that is going to be our first retirement out of this final run here in FRL. That leaves us with 10 drivers, so every driver earns points.
Just survive.
Survival is the name of the game. Kenny, looking through this battle here, midfield is very, very, very close between Frantic, Radislav, Kepa, Tazo, and Debe. Which driver do you think comes out ahead?
I think Frantic and Tazo in that group are probably the hot runners, but Radislav Kepa is no slouch in any means. But Debe is consistent too. But no, Frantic and Tazo are my two, so we'll see what they do. If they can get by Frantic, it looks like Frantic, I think, is going to come into the pits. That is going to be the case.
Frantic, first driver to blink on green flag pit stops, 13 laps in on the medium tires. This is about when we would expect it because we're hitting the halfway point here. So this is when I would expect the mediums to really be dying off. As we go through, hard tires go on for the Williams driver. It's a good pit stop through. And now we're going to be back out and running. He will, of course, settle into P10 here. But first driver to make a pit stop. Plenty of time to find and go through. Plenty of things to look at for Frantic and a long race left. That leaves, of course, Radislav Kepa, Tazo, and Debe battling here in the midfield. Tazo and Debe really, really putting the pressure on each other. Of course, these two are two of our admins here in FRL. Very, very good friends from what I can tell off the track, and very, very hard rivals on the track. So very exciting to see these two battling out with each other. And of course, Tazo trying to battle in to hold on to that P3.
Yeah, let's see what happens there, but yeah, it's pretty much, it's not really a parade by any means, but it's kind of get to your pit stops here in a few and see how you come out. Yeah, I think Ignas is going to be your race winner today, personally.
If this domination settles, it's hard to not think that at this point. 6.7 seconds and continuing to gain is the gap between Ignas and Graxent here. Who was that dove into the pits? That is the McLaren of Debe diving into the pits here. Our next green flag run. Will McLaren decide to double stack is the question. Kushort coming out of the final corners now, and as he runs through, it looks like Kushort stays out for another lap. McLaren not to opt for the double stack, which... if you don't have to, why would you? Hard tires on for Debe, and as we hit lap 15, that makes 2 of our 10 drivers to a pit.
Yeah, you're gonna stay out a little bit longer if you're on the hards. Kushar, I think, can definitely benefit from an extra 4 to 5 laps on those hards. Definitely Graxent. Graxent's got to extend, but with the pace of Ignis and this and that, yeah, I don't think tire strategy is really going to come into much play. Now, if a late safety car comes into play and we get a 2 to 3 lap sprint of a finish, then it's a different story.
Can never count out those late race safety cars. They are always interesting. Tazo, Radislav Kepa battling side by side going up the hill here. And Tazo not able to get the pass done on Radislav Kepa on that occasion, but just about a 10th back. You can see kind of staggering through here as we run through. Radislav Kepa trying to defend up ahead. Both drivers on the hard tires here. This has been a battle. They've been very, very close for many laps now, and now that it's just the two of them, there's not a DRS train behind. You can see the effect that that's having, but Radislav Kepa a bit better on the run off of traction out of the corner, and Buchik into the pits now. Tazo going through, continuing to follow. He's going to look around the outside into turn 1. Of course, that turns into the inside for turn 2. Side by side through. He's able to get a nose ahead. Oh, wow. And Radislav Kepa gives the position, and that puts Tazo up into P4 here. He's got 4.6 seconds up on Żelazny. Żelazny sitting P3 now that Buchik is pit, but 8.9 seconds back on Graxent.
That was a heck of a pass from Tazo.
Kushor and Buchik battling it there out of the pit lane. Of course, Kushor able to get ahead there. Buchik at the pit exit. Buchik down into P7 after his green flag pit stop. He goes onto hard tires, so we've had 4 pit stops. Maverick onto mediums. Buchik, Debe, Frantic onto hard tires. Everybody else yet to pit. We would expect Ignas to go onto the hards at some point. And all of the hard tire runners should go onto medium. But Ignas, 15 laps on the medium tires. And if he pits at this point, it's a very, very weird decision to me to see if he decides to pit now and go to hards. I almost wonder if he's not going to extend here and try to go on to softs.
Oh, no way. There's no way.
And as I say that.
Yeah. Just a little bit of a flex there from the Mercedes driver, but yeah. On the hards he goes.
Nice shiny set of new sticker hard tires going on there for Ignas. Graxent will get by him there. Who else will come through? Żelazny comes through, and now Tazo's coming down the main straight. Is Tazo going to be able to bring any pressure here to Ignas and make a little bit of a challenge for the Mercedes driver? He does. Ignas is now into P4 on those hard tires. Graxent, Żelazny, Tazo, P1, 2, 3, and at this point, Graxent needs to extend. Graxent needs to take advantage of this, of the warm-up period. Really get going here. 16 seconds is the gap back between Graxent and Ignas, and we need to see Graxent really find something here. But looking at fastest laps, I mean, Graxent 0.3 off the fastest lap of Ignas. So there's a lot that needs to give here in order to make things a little bit less of a headache for Graxent, unless he really just plans on burning those mediums all the way up at the end.
Well, he could definitely think about. Well, the thing is, I mean, unless you could just fire up what you got left in those hards, they definitely have some graining on those fronts for sure at this point in the race. If you're Graxent, so I mean, maybe give a little bit a battery a squeeze for a couple laps and come in, and then just take what you can get on the mediums.
I'm not the strategist here. If I was, I would probably work for Ferrari, but we can kind of just watch through and see how things develop and see where things go. Żelazny now into the pits here. Graxent not pitting. Żelazny pitting this lap. So we're seeing everyone stagger their pit stops just a bit. Żelazny should go on to, I would guess, medium tires, and there it is, medium tires ready for the Alfa Romeo Sauber team, and those medium tires go on. Very, very smooth pit stop, and Żelazny will exit right back onto the track to continue to bring some pressure through. Is Buchik going to be able to mount anything against him, though? Buchik was purple final sector that lap, so Buchik has a bit of pace, and as he comes out, it's going to be side by side at pit exit with Żelazny. Żelazny not able to take advantage there. Buchik P4, Żelazny P5. But Żelazny has a lot of pace, Kenny, and we know that, so we know that this is going to be a very, very spicy battle that will continue.
Yeah, he'll be able to catch those guys probably. Well, I don't know, because Tazo's gonna. Those hard guys are gonna come off soon, but yeah, I wish Bahrain the pace difference was a lot more between the softs and the mediums. Because personally, I would just stay out a little bit on the hards and come in on softs. Come in for softs and just see what you can get. But to my knowledge, I don't think there's much of a advantage from running softs over the mediums in terms of lap-to-lap pace.
There's really not. Our leader, Graxent, pulls the trigger, comes into the pits here on this lap. It's the medium tires for the Scuderia team. Medium's on, a very, very smooth pit stop. He's out. Tazo coming down the main straight is going to get past. Ignis coming down the main straight should get past as well. We can see here Ignis down through. Graxent's still in the pit lane at the moment. So Ignis, how much of a gap will Ignis have against Graxent, and how much time does Graxent have to make up on those mediums to try to have a battle for the win here? Tazo, of course, still needs to pit as well. We'll see Tazo pit probably, I would say, within the next lap or two, as he is the only driver that has not pit at the moment. Graxent is 5.7 seconds back. He did find a bit of time there through the green flag pit stop cycle, but just not enough to mount a challenge.
Yeah, only about a half a second, I think, is all he found. Not much of an undercut or overcut here. But again, that's more dependent on your driving ability. Żelazny up into P4, getting past Bucic.
Żelazny able to pull off some very good passes. Żelazny has 8 seconds he needs to find on Graxent, though, and that's a very, very big gap to make up. Of course, at this time, everybody very spread out. Nobody is within a second of the car ahead or behind. So at this point, it is just pumping in comfortable, nice quality laps and seeing how you can catch up here. Ignis 1.2 seconds behind Tazo here in the race for the lead. Of course, Tazo not pitting yet, so things are very, very relaxed through for all of the drivers. And it's just a matter of run your race and finish your race at this point.
Absolutely. That's pretty much it. Not much of a threat to Ignis. Definitely pretty much lights out throughout the whole season and to close out the season.
Absolutely. Looking through here, Tazo still yet to pit with only 9 laps to go now. Żelazny pumping in the fastest lap on those mediums, so Żelazny responding a bit there, cutting the gap down to 7.6 seconds between him and Graxent, so plenty of time to be found there, and he might be able to bring a bit more. Looking at just all of the stats, all of the things that have happened here in FRL, of course, still plenty to play for. Drivers' Championship and Constructors' Championship are, of course, still up on the line here. Constructors' Championship, as it stands, will sit to Mercedes. Drivers' Championship, as it sits, will be awarded to Ignis. So, 9 laps for plenty of things to change. If you're Ignis, you really just want this to run to the end. If you're Graxent, you really, really want a safety car right about now.
A safety car involving the guy in front of you. That would be the ultimate present there.
Absolutely, that would be nightmare fuel for me again, because commentator curse. But you never know. Looking at the stats for driver number 38, Graxent, currently sitting P3, 2 wins, 1 pole, 6 podiums, average 4th place. Has been in P1 twice, of course, with the 2 wins. Averages 16 points a race. Average quality is P5 and has started 9 races and finished 8 of them. Graxent responding to my statements with a fastest lap. Gap now 4 seconds between Graxent and Ignis. So Graxent, even if it won't mean he gets the championship, at least wants the glory with a final race win here.
Of course. Why wouldn't you?
Can you blame him? I cannot.
Not another thing too. Not many penalties at all this race, really.
Yeah, the only penalty I think that was handed out was Myros for track limits, which is kind of unusual for Bahrain. It can happen just if you have like a little bit too much curb in turn 2 or a little bit too much through turn 9 and 10. I've seen it happen every once in a while, but it's not a normal thing to see happen.
Yeah, turn 2, I think usually the one that catches most people out.
All right, Kenny, let me turn your attention to something real quick here. Tazo, sitting P1, 0.3 of a second back, has Ignis in P2. Graxent has now closed the gap down to 2.9 seconds to this duo.
Yeah, I mean, of course, if you're Graxent, you're rooting for Tazo to hold him up as much as he can. Of course, if you're Tazo, you don't care at this point about anybody's race. You're just racing, and you're in P1 at the moment. So, but he's going to make a dive into the pits. No, he was going to feint into the pits. I thought he was. Yeah, I mean, of course, who knows? Ignis might be lifting, but Tazo's no slouch. But yeah, those 21 lap old hards are definitely feeling quite greasy. I can assure you.
Yeah, Tazo. If Tazo doesn't go onto the softs at the end, I'm going to be very surprised because he is risking it all to stay out right here. Ignis P2, of course, trying to get past Tazo, and I'm sure he knows Tazo needs to pit at some point, so he's just sitting. But look at this. Graxent has pulled out almost a second through the last lap, so Graxent putting in some quali laps. He's doing that Michael Schumacher-esque responsive quali lap after lap, to try to pull things through, and 1.7 seconds the gap, a second and a half. Is Tazo backing up Ignis?
Yeah, I know, right?
Look at this.
The thing. Go ahead.
Look at this. Tazo defending like a lion here through turns 10 and 11 through the S's here. I mean, absolutely doing everything he can to just park that Alpine in the middle of the road. It's very, very unusual to see, but Graxent now within a second. So Tazo, a block in the road for Ignis, and Graxent is going to absolutely love this. Look at this, 9/10 of a second now the gap, and this is going to be a spicy, spicy time here to go through, because it's medium tires for Graxent, hard tires for Ignis. Tazo now dives into the pits, but watch this as we go through, because now Graxent has DRS. Ignis will have DRS to slap as well, but watch this as Graxent now has DRS. Graxent can bring a fight for the lead to try to win this final FRL race.
I wonder if that's going to be a little bit of foreshadowing, because you should definitely put those guys in the same color car right now, because that was a huge win for Graxent.
That was something else. I can't wait. Can't wait to see how this shapes up. Of course, 6 laps to go. Graxent, purple, first sector. So Graxent still putting in time. Look at this, 2/10 of a second all over the rear wing of Ignis. And now watch as we go through here, as we come in through the middle sector here, the hard left-hander. And this is going to be where things get very, very interesting. Can Graxent get a good enough exit on traction? It looks like he's able to get just enough to keep up. DRS open here. You can see the battery light on for Ignis. Ignis saving battery. And no DRS for Graxent, surprisingly. Maybe he just didn't open it. I'm not sure what happened.
He might have that, or might have missed the detection point, but just well, no, he was never even close. So yeah, I don't know. He should have definitely had it.
Very, very weird. Maybe he didn't open it on purpose. Maybe he's trying to save a little bit. Watch this gamesmanship here, side by side. Ignis slowing down, wanting to let him by. Look at this, right on board. Look at how hard they're slowing down. He knows the detection point. He doesn't want to give him DRS down the main straight. Now Ignis gonna come through here. Ignis will slot him behind Graxent with the DRS. Look at this swerving. They're trying to break slipstream here because Ignis just wants to stick through. And a little bit of cheeky play here, such as Max Verstappen and the Ferrari Charles Leclerc did with DRS detection points earlier last year. I'm sure everyone remembers that. And now as we go through, Graxent, though, able to open things up, get past Ignis, and now watch this. This is where a little bit of sliding goes through. You are allowed to go across the track once. You can go over and come back onto the racing line to break the slipstream. Graxent does just that. He's able to hold on the lead here. Now Ignis is in P2, half a second back, losing just a little bit of time. Graxent is trying to dump everything through to try to get his way forward.
Yeah, the biggest thing here is, and their boat drivers are getting really spicy, but you definitely don't want to trash your race by getting too swervy or too spicy on the defense, but almost a complete second advantage going up to the Ferrari driver.
Of course, Ignis knows that at this point he has the championship, and he's probably just going to let it run. Graxent, though, race win, it's all about the pride for the Scuderia. It's a very, very big deal for the Ferrari and the Tifosi to get that race win. So I wonder if Ignis will try to fight this back or not as we go on to 5 to go here. It'll be 5 to go across the line. But here's a question for you, Kenny. Did you notice how slow they were going down the back straight? Before the final corner, they were down in 5th gear almost coming up to the detection point.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's old classic trick there, especially whenever you have a detection point going into front straight or any type of straight leading into a crucial corner like turn 1 here at Bahrain. So yeah, I think Ignis, he just knows that he just finish. I mean, just finish. Don't trash your race. Don't trash your championship. As Tazo puts in the fastest lap 1:38:43, putting him current net fastest lap of the race, and he'll probably keep that. But yeah, at least the Tifosi will be proud. They'll be happy going into next season.
I wonder if that will be investigated after the race. I wonder if either driver will report that for dangerous driving, and if that gets investigated after the race.
I mean, it'll get looked at, but I don't think it can be penalized. I mean, both drivers were doing the same thing. They both knew what both drivers were doing, and they gave each other the space. Now, if you had a third or fourth car in the mix there, where they were hemmed up or they made contact, absolutely, that would be probably a hefty penalty going to someone. But in terms of one-on-one racing, it's kind of like basketball, in a sense. If you're somewhat within the rules, do what you want.
Yeah, that is true. I ask that because seeing something like that, I just wonder.
The precedent, the precedent, I think, would definitely want to be set, because you can't do that when you have. Definitely, you can't do that when you've got a third, fourth, and fifth car behind you, or when that can bleed over to the start of the race or the middle of the race at any point. When you've got a pack of cars together, that kind of stuff definitely cannot happen.
Jumping on board here and watching with Tazo on those soft tires, 0.2 of a second back on Radislav Kepa, continuing to try to battle and go through. He is trying to battle his way back up near the front of the pack. It's a tall order to ask here. I think the best he'll be able to get is probably P4 if he can make up the gap to Buchik after he passes Radislav Kepa. Of course, 3 laps to go here through for the drivers. And I'm just looking at the stats here for both Graxent and Ignas, trying to see where this will land them. Of course, Ignas 3 wins, 3 poles, 6 podiums, 2 fastest laps. His average finishing position is P3, averages 18 points through, and he has finished every race he started. So Ignas will be ending off the season very, very well off and happy, and it's going to be really, really interesting to watch. Of course, Ignas, Mercedes legend through. Graxent, of course, was a Season 2 champ and Season 3 Constructors champion. Has ran Alfa Romeo, Williams, and Ferrari here. Of course, ACC Endurance Racer as well, with FRL representing the league. Lots to play between those two names, and then you start adding more people into the mix. You add Żelazny's name in the mix. Buchik, Radislav Kepa, Tazo, Debe. Lots of history here in FRL that goes through, and I keep reflecting on that because it is a big deal. Tazo passed Radislav Kepa finally, and now he's going to run through, and we'll see here how quickly Tazo can catch up to Buchik. 3 seconds is the gap for them. Żelazny 2.7 seconds back on Ignas here, so plenty of time for him to find. Ignas 2.6 seconds back on Graxent, so that continues to open here. And Żelazny may be set up for a P2 here, depending on how these final 3 laps end up.
Yeah, it's going to be quite interesting to see how he manages that, but it's quite interesting to see some of these drivers chop up a field like they can sometimes, with Żelazny up in P3, but I wonder if that's just gonna kind of set the tone going in the next year. I'm telling you, next season, I think it's going to be very spicy in terms of the competitiveness, and I think you're going to see a lot of familiar names returning, and also it's just going to be that stronger, especially I think having the break when we were going to have the break at the timing. I think kind of starting a little bit later into the cycle might be an advantage as well, because there are some glitches with the game like always, but I don't think nothing like this year with 22. So yeah.
Yeah, I haven't heard of any big glitches so far through, as I've been watching through. I think the worst thing has been there's a tire dag issue. Even if you're on equal performance, tire dag doesn't regulate through.
Yep.
I know I've seen some leagues that started immediately as soon as the game released have had a little bit of issue with that, but that should be patched out fairly quickly, I would imagine. Touching on you mentioning other drivers coming back, I know rumor has it JJ's coming back. I would like to hope that Noda gets to come back. Roloski possibly. Żelazny maybe coming back to full-time racing. I mean, there's plenty of big FRL names that could come back and really make this Season 9 under the name Pole Position Racing become huge. It would be amazing to see a lot of those guys come back and fight. Of course, Syntax commentator with us. I know he talks about going back racing, so I wonder if Syntax may bring it back into racing, which would be absolutely amazing to see him compete on track again. Very, very strong driver and commentator, the same. I'd hate to lose him in the booth, but hey, I'd love to see him out on track. It's always fun to watch. Of course, my first ever race with FRL, just to kind of reflect through as we're going down to 2 to go here. Final lap, actually. I apologize. Final lap starting here. But thinking back on my journey with FRL, of course, starting with Season 3, Round 3, Monaco Grand Prix, pouring the rain, and Syntax running the entire race on a set of wet tires. I mean, you have highlight moments like that. There's been highlight moments all the way through. 80 Gamer winning his first race here at Spain. I remember commentating that. I remember so many things that have gone on throughout all of the seasons I've been with FRL, and the opportunities that FRL has given me here. You know, it's been amazing. Even with a rebrand, Pole Position Racing, the opportunities that this league gives and presents forward. Of course, bringing on Syntax from racer to commentator and back and forth, and Syntax being with the league all the way from day one. Debe having 104 races with the league. I mean, that's a big deal. That's from the start. Let's not take off from the battle on screen, though. Żelazny to Ignas, Tazo and Buchik battling. But stop for a second and reflect on all the time that FRL has spent here. Every Sunday afternoon that's been given, everything that's gone through, all of the work that's happened behind the scenes that you may or may not see that makes its way into a weekend here with FRL. It's amazing to see through, and with a rebranding, a new future comes. However, that does not lose any of our past. Of course, it finds a lot of great things. We found drivers like Żelazny, Roloski, Graxent, Ignas, all of these great drivers, and it goes through. We found you, Kenny, of course, and as we round the corner, we set up a new dawn. Graxent will come across and win the final race with FRL. Ignas will come across P2 with a slow salute through. Żelazny will slow it down, finish P3 with a slow salute. No slow finishes for Buchik and Tazo, though. But with that 1-2-3 finish, this does settle in. Graxent will be P2 for the championship. He does not find that 10 of 300 chance that he had. And Ignas, with the consistency and key, he may not win the race, but he will be crowned the final FRL champion through. Buchik, Tazo, Radislav Kepa, Debe, Frantic, Kushor, and Maverick will pace their way around. Parade laps are through, but all eyes go to the Silver Arrow, Kenny, the champion for the final time, Ignas.
Yeah, what a season. What a closing of the chapter here at, what is the final chapter here at FRL now, Pole Position Racing. Żelazny is your in-game driver of the day. No surprise there, but yeah, the spotlight is all on Ignas and the Mercedes crew.
Amazing run through. Of course, you cannot discredit Graxent with that win, getting that pass through against Ignas. The jockeying for DRS, very, very methodical drive there, and I'm sure Graxent is absolutely ecstatic to have that win. Again, even if it doesn't mean that he has the championship, but still very, very good run through. And as we watch the podium celebrations, Kenny, I have to say, it's your first full season with FRL. And now we get to rebrand it to PPR.
It was fun. It was good fun. It was a shame I couldn't be here for all the races that I was attached to the community for. But next year is going to be, or next season is going to be a lot different. So definitely looking forward to being in the booth for pretty much every race. And yeah, I'm a big fan of this crew going into next cycle.
Fastest lap is taken by Tazo as it goes through. Żelazny, of course, does find that P3. Driver of the day goes to Żelazny from P11 up to P3. Myros, the only driver to DNF. Ladies and gentlemen, hang with us for just a minute. We are going to jump over for interviews. We will be right back. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for hanging out with us. We are back here and bringing back on our slightly sick friend, Syntax. And I am going to let Syntax do what he does best and take the interviews away with our podium drivers.
Thank you so much, Bradley, for having me once again here. It was a pleasure to being here with you as always. But today we have one more job to do, and let's bring some heat. Let's bring some interviews. And on the first fire, we will have Żelazny. Welcome, Żelazny.
Hello, guys.
Hello. It's so nice to have you once again here in the FRL. Especially that it was actually the grand finale of Foxxxes Racing League, last race of FRL. You bring home your podium, and I want to ask about the whole performance in Foxxxes Racing League. How was driving as a driver here? How do you feel? And of course, big congrats of today's podium.
Thanks. It's. I think it's a hard question. I don't know what to say. I think there's a great community. There's a lot of great racers. Administration, commentators. Everyone there is. It's in my heart. Okay. And I love to racing here, and I think I will be there in next season, but not FRL, but in PRP.
PPR.
PPR. Okay. Yeah.
All position
PPR.
racing.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, I'm going to race there and
as a full driver.
As a full driver. Yes.
Yay! Ladies and gentlemen, we have confirmed big announcement. Żelazny will be with us in upcoming season 9. So this is a very good information for us, and I believe not necessarily for the rest of the drivers, because many of us, and I'm counting myself as a driver also, are afraid of your pace, an incredible strategy, and I want to mention that you made a 1/10 of a second slower qualifying lap than actually someone in front of you on the softs while you were wearing a hard compound. So that's also, I think, something that we need to be scared of.
That's F1 22. New game is a new game, and there'll be a lot of changes. And yeah, we will see we will see what pace I will have. But I think I still I don't have a new game, so I think you have time to practice.
Yeah, definitely. And also watching the leaderboards on time trials, of course, it's not like the main thing that we have to count on it, but when I checked the leaderboards on many tracks, I see that practically all of us are in a very same pace. So basically, I'm counting that the next season will be really, really difficult for all drivers, because it could be extremely in of course positive way difficult, because of the level that drivers will bring to the new season.
Yeah, I think in new game you talk about new game, yeah?
About
the leaderboards, and okay, so I think new game is easier. I think it's easier because of about it,
of the grip.
About the grip, about how you need to adjust throttle to have good exits, and I think it will be more there will be more racing side to side, and I think there will be no drivers who will be so much faster.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm definitely agree with that. Żelazny, once again, big congrats for your last race in Foxxxes Racing League in Bahrain, taking a podium. Big thanks for being a driver and part of the community, and thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys, and see you
See you in
next
the
time.
next season. Yeah.
Yeah. See you next season. Bye.
See you. Bye bye. Okay. Last but not least, welcome Ignas.
Hello.
Hola. Hola. My
Hello.
friend,
Hello.
you done a really amazing job. First of all, big congrats on the podium on Bahrain today, and of course, main congrats of being an FRL Season 8 champion.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
You done a really incredible job this season. We had many interviews this season, and I was repeating myself that you done a really good job improving yourself, training as much as you can do, and this is the payment, I will say, because you are doing such a good job in this season. Every single race was almost without a mistake. Amazing pace, amazing strategies, amazing co-working with your teammate, John Meister, right? So basically, a perfect season for you.
Yeah, it was very great season. Many victories, many podiums, great teammate, great opponents. Yeah, everything was great.
Yeah, exactly. Of course, we will see you in the next season, right?
Well, I think so.
I hope so. You cannot say
Yeah.
no.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You will see me. I'm kidding.
This is also very good information. So we have already Żelazny and Ignas. And of course, I need to ask about the plans for a new season. Of course, not anymore in Foxxxes Racing League, but in pole position racing. Would you like to once again fight for the championship, or maybe I will shots fired? Are you afraid of any other drivers? Like they might get even better right now in the new game, and taking the championship will be a little bit harder than it was right now.
I mean, this game, the new game, is quite easier, and yeah, the pace of other drivers could be different from this game. So yeah, of course, I'm really afraid of like Żelazny, Graxent. Like they are very fast guys every time in every game. Yeah, I really hope that I will have great pace. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to fight for the championship. We'll see. But I feel quite comfortable in the new game. So yeah, I really hope that there will be even more drivers which would compete for the championship.
Yeah, exactly. So the upcoming season will be definitely much harder and definitely much enjoyable for viewers and for us as a commentators. Once again,
Yeah,
big congrats, Ignas, because you done a really, really good job this season.
yeah, very big thanks, respect to Graxent.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you so much, Ignas.
Goodbye.
Bye bye. See you next season.
See ya.
And of course, our today winner, no one else but Graxent. Welcome, Graxent.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello. It's so nice to have you here once again. We've spoke a few times in interviews this season, but of course, probably this is not the end that you wanted to finish the Foxxxes Racing League.
No, but it was also quite impossible. I mean, I tried everything. I mean, the qualification was a little bit bad, but I also in the race I tried a different strategy, but yeah, it worked out for the win. But nevertheless, he must be lower than P8 or P8. So
Yeah, it was pretty hard to do that, right? And
yeah,
also, Ignas showed in qualifications that his pace was like amazing. It was like 3/10 of a second faster than you, exactly, something like this.
yeah. True.
Yeah, so that was scary seeing both of you on P1 and P2. We were just like praying just to not make any carnage on the T1 as I did to you and JJ in season 3, Sentex Torpedo. But everything was in today's race really clean and it was really enjoyable. But there's a single moment that I believe might help you a lot because Ignas fighting with Tazo let you get closer to Ignas and actually fight with him. That was actually really, really close battle.
I mean, I think if Tazo didn't help me like that, I think I didn't get the win actually.
Mhm.
He helped me a lot. Perfectly on time when he got to the pitch, I had DRS, and next lap I just overtook him.
Yeah,
So yeah, big
Taz,
thanks to Tazo actually.
yeah, Tazo was wearing a Ferrari T-shirt. I'm sure about it. Yeah, but definitely it gets more spicy on the track. So basically, it was a really fun to watch. And of course, Graxent, I want to ask because you also done a really good job. We can compare it to the previous season that wasn't your best season, like in the general, but in season 8 you pick more trainings, you improve a lot, and of course it was so close to get of course the championship. But as far as I know you, this is not your last word, and probably in the next seasons you will be fighting for that once again, right?
Yeah, I will. I mean, next game I feel so comfortable. It's actually amazing. The traction is so good. Everything is good actually in the new game. So I will be there. So let's do it.
Yeah, I hope that you'll bring the hit once again. uh, what team will you will be picking? Red Bull, Ferrari?
I think Rebel.
Red
I go
Bull.
with Rebel.
What? Why I'm not surprised about that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, Graxent, we can give you a time because it was like 8 seasons in FRL. We were driving together. We have better moments, worse moments, but in general, it's the end of the grand finale of the Foxxxes Racing League. Since the next season, we will be changing, rebranding, and basically, it wouldn't be a big change for us as a drivers and community, but I believe it will be a huge step for a league.
Yeah, I think this league gonna make a step forward again and every time. So I'm really happy for the league and the commitment at this league is so incredible good. I
Yeah,
just want to thank you.
and also remember that we are grateful that we have you here and
Yeah,
every
thank
single
you.
driver.
Of course, of course.
So thank you so much. Big congrats for today win. You can call yourself as a last winner of Foxxxes Racing League.
Yes.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much, Graxent, and we will see in the season 9.
Yes. Thank you guys for everything.
Thank you so much, Graxent. Take care. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Okay, Bradley, I think we're done with the interviews. This is the moment.
Man.
Don't cry because I will start also.
No crying. Just reflection for all the ways things have changed. It's been a very fun ride. Thankful to have everyone, by my side that's enjoyed this ride, from sitting, on the side and just I remember when I joined the league, it was a Saturday afternoon for me and I was scrolling. Uh Graxent, 20 gifted subs. What are you doing? What was that?
Graxent, you are crazy. Thank you so much.
Oh my gosh. I remember starting commentating with the league, and I was sent a message on a Sunday morning from Debe, or I sent it to Tazo, and Tazo said, "Hey, message Debe." So I messaged Debe, and he said, "Yeah, the race is at 7:30 Central European time. Can you make it?" And I was like, "Oh, that's in like 2 hours. Sure. I've never done any of this." And making this up and just seeing where things have grown from there, getting Kenny on board, Syntax, you coming and commentating full time, everything that's happened in the background, the Twitch growing as much as it has. It's been absolutely amazing to be a part of this. And even though we're rebranding, I know that the core group stays the same. And moving forward, this is gonna be huge, very huge. So just from myself personally, thankful for every person that's taking time to watch the stream, everyone that's given a follow, everyone that's subscribed. For Graxent for gifting like 75 subs throughout the life of this Twitch channel. It's been awesome. And even though we're taking just a few week break and then we're coming back, and then I know things are going to be big whenever everything rebrands. I know there's a lot of work to do in the off season, and I am excited for where next season rolls. 8 seasons, lots of action, and we've crowned a final champion. We've got a final race winner, Kenny, Syntax. I think this is it.
This is it.
Been a great ride. Just the beginning.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, for the final time, that is going to be where we end today's stream. Of course, exclamation Discord in the chat. Join the Discord, get connected, get ready for everything coming up for Season 9 and for Pole Position Racing. On behalf of Syntax and Kitty, my name is Brad, and I will see you with the next stream. Syntax, gonna do the thing?
I'm sorry. Bye.
Bye.
Higher positions on the track right now. Maybe double overtake from Nota. We will see that right now. Bebel got to just overtake Puchacz, but no, he's attacking going inside. Nota on the P3, fighting still with the Bebel got to going inside right now, and he's placing himself on the P3. What a move!
Hard against the Mercedes of Puchacz there, and he's trying to get a run here on X-Track. He is on the inside. What an unconventional place to try to do a pass. He's going side by side through an F, and they jammed it up. They've got tons of people behind him. They're still side by side. Look at that though. Puchacz, Barthez, and Syntax all catching up. They can smell it, and that is going to be X-Track running wide. X-Track is now going to be under a lot of pressure here as we go through.